The man accused of killing Charlie Kirk appearing virtually before a judge today. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer on the preliminary hearing.
I think it's going to be a great source of information for them. They're going to get to know what kind of information in terms of how someone testifies, how they respond to them being questioned by the specific attorney, what information they'll get out. And if they can try to navigate and see where the weak spots are in the prosecution's case, those weak spots that cannot be corrected, I think it'll help in terms of negotiation down the road.
A peace plan for Gaza could bring the more than 2 million people living there under international control, not Israel's. ABC Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce reports no one has announced acceptance yet.
The president and the prime minister, while they announced this, what they described as historic 20-point plan, they refused to take questions here. Of course, while they may be in agreement on what the end of this war should look like, Hamas is not on board. And it's also not clear, I should say, whether Netanyahu is fully 100% on board with this complete plan.
Now, under the deal, Hamas would have to disarm, humanitarian aid for Palestinians would come in, and a plan for rebuilding Gaza would begin. OpenAI announced new parental controls for ChatGPT aimed at making the chatbot safer for teens after cases in which teens took their lives after using ChatGPT. New controls allow parents to adjust access to graphic content or sensitive topics. Parents will also receive notification if their child might be in distress. I'm Stephanie Officer, ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 5:05 on this Monday afternoon, and with your KVNU News headlines, I'm Will Feelright. Well, you may have seen smoke above Logan Canyon several times over the last several days. That's as fire crews were up around Old Ephraim's grave conducting a prescribed burn on around 2,100 acres. Now, crews closed several mountain roads in the area, including the Temple Fork and Long Hollow roads, along with portions of the Elk Valley Divide, Ephraim Cutoff, and Nebaker Springs trails, which were also closed. Now, officials with the Uinta Wasatch Cache National Forest said that the controlled burn was all a part of the Blacksmith Fork project area. Now, the public is being advised to watch out for warning signs if they are going to be in that burn area, as some of the area still remains closed. And the Utah Department of Environmental Quality is urging residents to complete a statewide recycling survey by deadline tomorrow night. Now, according to a social media post from state officials, the Division of Waste Management and Radiation Control is wanting to hear from Utahns about their experiences, challenges, and ideas related to recycling and waste reduction. Now, the anonymous 5 to 10 minute survey is intended to help the state understand current waste management practices. Now, while the national recycling rate is about 35%, estimates throughout Utah vary. Now, officials say the new requirements for recycling facilities will help provide more accurate data in the future. The survey is available at recycle.utah.gov. In other news, a flash flood at Goblin Valley State Park on Friday prompted search and rescue crews to be called out for 4 missing people who were later found safe. Now, an isolated storm had caused the sudden flooding in Little Wild Horse Canyon, trapping multiple groups of hikers who had to seek higher ground. Now, while park rangers quickly found 6 people, 4 others were initially unaccounted for. Now, Emery County Search and Rescue was dispatched, but later determined that the missing individuals had safely left the canyon. The park reminded visitors that this time of year you should check flash flooding forecast and be cautious before heading into those areas. And the former principal of West High School in Salt Lake City is publicly accusing the Salt Lake City School District of failing to protect students and retaliating against him after a stabbing happened last year. Dr. Jared Wright, who was the principal at the time, testified under a subpoena before the Utah legislature this past week. He said that the district knew that a male student had a history of threatening violence before he allegedly stabbed a female student in a West High bathroom back in October of 2023. Now, Wright, who is now serving as principal of Granger High School, claimed that a district official told him that they did not warn his school because they wanted to give the boy a fresh start. Now, Wright also said the district appeared to be more focused on protecting the assailant than the victim. Well, clouds continuing through the rest of the afternoon as temperatures have been in the mid-70s today. Tonight will drop into the mid-40s, and then we'll see a chance of some showers and thunderstorms for Tuesday. Sunny skies will return for Wednesday and Thursday, and then another chance of some showers coming on Friday. And it looks like we could see our first chance of frost possibly coming for the weekend. And weather this hour is brought to you by Cardall's Insulation. If you are constantly adjusting your thermostat, may not be the furnace or air conditioner, it may be time to check the insulation in your home. Call Cardall's Insulation at 755-5012. And I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News headlines.
It's been a crazy few months with big rainstorms fueling the weeds in your lawn, garden, or empty lot, and the spiders coming inside to beat the heat. You need help. Let Logan Extermination take care of those pesky weeds and unwanted pests with an exterior lawn application and interior treatment for bugs. Call Logan Extermination today before your home becomes enemy territory. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Weed control starts at $45. Interior spider spray starts at $95.
The local news source. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Prices have been reduced again during Anderson's Seed and Garden Cash and Carry Sale. They've marked down all remaining trees, shrubs, evergreens up to 50% off. But if you pay with cash, you save an additional 10% off your purchase price during their annual Fall Cash and Carry Sale. That's 60% off a wide selection of top-notch plants in stock. Get them now before they're gone. But hurry while the selection is the best. Anderson's Seed and Garden, 69 West Center, Logan.
Everyone has an estate, but do you have an estate plan? This is Jace Allen, Northern Utah's estate planning attorney. At Allen Law Office, wills and trusts are what we do. If you've been putting it off, now is the time to get it done. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones, protect your legacy, protect your assets. Start today at cashlegal.com or just search Allen Law Office. Wills and trusts are what we do. Allen Law Office.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. A difficult thing to talk about. As I mentioned at the end of hour 2, I hate that I know how to talk about mass shootings professionally on the radio. I remember the first time that I think Tyler Riggs was here at the time still, and Tyler and I were going to have to talk about what it was a school shooting, and we ran the press conference, and then we had to talk about it. And I remember we were both so nervous. How do you talk about such a tragedy? What do you even say? It's not necessarily day of is not time for a debate over, did the sheriff's department respond in time? Did they do the right things? And but you have to say something. You have to anyway. Now, 17 years later, I hate that I know how to talk about this, and that's what goes through my head every time. That there has to be a way to stop this. Recognizing that no world is perfect, you're never going to get to a day when you can say, there will never be another heinous crime committed by a troubled individual with a gun or a bomb or whatever it might be. And that's an unrealistic goal. Unfortunately, throughout history, individuals, for various reasons, do awful things to each other. But we have to be able to get to a point where it isn't every 2 damn weeks. No speculation on my part, as the details have emerged. A statement from the White House later yesterday, and White House spokesperson Carolyn Leavitt, and some new information from the FBI today, in which they finally used the words "targeted violent attack." It's very clear this was an anti-LDS shooting. So Deseret News has a lengthy article up right now if you want to go read it. What was the motive behind the deadly attack on Latter-day Saint Church in Michigan yesterday morning? And it's worth a read because it does bring up some of the discussions about, what little is known about the motives and things like that. Here's basically what we know based on the reports as they came out yesterday, as this played out. It sounds like mid to 2/3 of the way through services at this LDS Church in Michigan, a man drove his pickup truck, which apparently had 2 U.S. flags. You see them around Cache Valley a lot. You know what I'm talking about? The 2 U.S. flags posted in the hook pockets of the pickup truck bed, and they flap in the wind as the truck drives. So a pickup truck with 2 of those 2 American flags, U.S. flags, in the corners of the bed pockets. It drove through the wall of an LDS church. Well, the church was in service. This was in Grand Blanc, Michigan. In Michigan, they might say blank. I don't know, but it technically should be pronounced Grand Blanc. And this was the detail that hit me hard when I first read it. This was from a Fox 2 in Detroit, Michigan, reported that when 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, according to police, a man from Burton, Michigan, the suspect of the shooting inside the church, drove his vehicle through the wall of the church at a high enough rate of speed to burst into the church. Many of those in attendance for the services that day assumed it was a car accident, and they came running to help. And that's when allegedly Sanford opened fire. And it's the shooting happened just before 10:30 a.m. And again, in the middle of services, or just past the halfway point, one attendee said. And 5 people were killed, including the shooter there, and 8 others remain hospitalized after the shooting. That was as reported after the shooting Sunday morning. And then later we found out that this individual also either had or had thrown or had previously left homemade incendiary devices, bombs of sorts. This individual started a fire, and the church burned. So one of the members of the LDS Church who was in attendance that day, a man named Brian Taylor, actually spoke to, this is again Fox 2 Detroit, and this is where they thought, it's an accident. It's a car accident that they thought they were running out to. And so they put down their Bibles, Taylor describes, and they left the pews and ran out to help. Taylor, when speaking with Fox 2 Detroit, said the scene after being shot at his vehicle, who spoke with Fox 2 Detroit at the scene, said that he jumped out of his vehicle in camo pants with a rifle, and then everything that plays out. The FBI says they're continuing to look for a motive in the Michigan shooting, and that is all they're saying, other than they've officially, as of, this was about 20 minutes ago, for the first time they used the word targeted violent act, which means that the FBI believes that hate for members of the LDS Church drove this. I'm trying to be careful about how I say this, because this is, other than the FBI using that phrase, this is, for the most part, my opinion. But I'm pretty solid in this opinion based on the details that have been released. I think, without a doubt, you can say that this was, these people were attacked because they were LDS. Not to speculate further, I think you would have to be absolutely intentionally ignoring the obvious to not say this is connected to the political assassination of Charlie Kirk, loosely, in that on social media, in conservative circles right now, there's been a debate raging since it was made known that the individual who allegedly shot and killed Charlie Kirk here in Utah was raised in an LDS household. And that has turned into some people, turning that into LDS hate. There have even been pastors of other churches over the last few weeks who have gotten some notoriety in a negative way, thankfully, for saying that, one pastor, to quote, said, "I'm not surprised that the shooter," referring to the Kirk shooter, "was a member of the LDS faith. That is a demonic cult." This is an evangelical pastor from Texas. And the man who appeared on the Charlie Kirk podcast just this morning, taking some heat as well for some anti-LDS tweets he'd posted recently, and TPUSA taking some heat for that. So there is a loose connection here, not as far as the shooter's motives being confirmed, but I think it's a very fair and reasonable speculation at this point, especially with the FBI all but confirming this was motivated by anti-LDS hate. The investigators, again, they're still looking into the motive, as the official statement, into the motive for this deadly shooting and a fire that burned down the Latter-day Saint meeting house in Michigan. But the White House has gone further, for what it's worth. I don't know what information that White House spokeswoman Carolyn Leavitt has. She didn't offer any. But she said all that is known right now is that this is an individual who hated people of the Mormon faith, Leavitt's words, and they are trying to understand more about this, how premeditated it was, how much planning went into it, where he left a note. All of those questions have yet to be answered. On social media, people have picked through this man's social media pages and his family. He has a wife and a kid. Had a wife and a kid. He is dead now. And they show him, he was a veteran. He was a Donald Trump supporter. I wouldn't say that there's anything that's been shown from their personal social media plates that implies any kind of, heightened political activity or engagement. There's one photo with him in a Trump 2024 T-shirt. But what I'm getting at is this appeared to be just a normal person. But obviously something was off. And again, it's impossible not to connect this to what's been going on online with debates over the alleged Charlie Kirk shooter being raised in an LDS household here in Utah. And evangelicals, many of them who have been very outspoken about rejecting the LDS Church as a fellow Christian faith. I mean, those debates aren't new, and they're silly, honestly, that evangelicals believe they get to decide who is Christian and not is just a whole other debate we could have on. Yeah, anyway, it's awful. Again, the details are sparse. Still 2 American flags flying in the bed of a Chevy Silverado that rammed into the wall of the meeting house. And records that the police have released from Michigan show Sanford, 40, has no recorded party affiliation. But Michigan is a state that has open primaries, so party registration is not required. And local news outlets reporting that Sanford had a 2016 Trump sign out of his house all last year. Lived about a 50-minute drive from from where this occurred yesterday. In the Deseret News article, they point out as well, in a Sunday press conference, authorities were actually asked about speculation that the shooting is connected to the killing of conservative political activist Charlie Kirk here in Utah earlier this month. And and Michigan State Police Lieutenant Kim Vetter was the first to say, well, that's exactly what it is. It's speculation. And again, I hate to speculate, but if you've seen the debate, I think at this point you could assume something drove this individual to intentionally target an LDS church and members of the LDS faith. I think it's safe to speculate on that front. And again, the FBI finally confirming today, the first to say it outright that I've seen, is that they're calling this a targeted act. And if you know FBI speak, law enforcement speak, that means that they believe there was a clear motive here. They have enough information, though they haven't released that information yet, to believe that there was a clear motive. This wasn't a random, I'm just going to stop where there's a large group of people for no other reason type mass shooting. This was targeted at these individuals. And so, it's fair to connect the dots on this. The alleged shooter, again, was a Marine veteran and a Marine Corps spokesperson. In an interview over I think it was yesterday afternoon sometime, told CNN that Sanford had served as a sergeant and received several medals for his service. He served from 2004 to 2008. And a family friend told a local Detroit radio station in an interview that Sanford was known in the community as suffering from a pretty severe post-traumatic stress disorder. A friend said in the interview, I heard through family events and stuff that he had PTSD, and he would make some comments about it occasionally. It was something that was kind of talked about, though not a lot, not in depth, so I don't know how serious his issues were. It's sort of, Deseret News goes into more. They talk about some other details that are known, the stress that might have been on this family, not to create sympathy necessarily for someone who did something so horrible, but a child born with a genetic disorder, and it was really taxing their family finances, and so many signs of what might have pushed a person to crack, but again, not an excuse. So again, what we know, FBI says simply that they believe this was a targeted attack, meaning it wasn't just a random shooter who shot into a group of people or went to a church because they knew there'd be a group of people. They believe this was targeted, which means they believe that the shooter went there specifically to target members of the LDS faith, alleged shooter. And the White House was more definitive. The White House, again, spokesperson Carolyn Leavitt, saying yesterday that this was, absolutely an attack on the LDS faith, that this was something that was done out of LDS hate, Leavitt said, or anti-LDS hate. So that's what we know. That's the latest on this. And again, understandably, though this happened in Michigan, this was something that hit really close to home for Utahns with the announcement just hours before of President Nelson's passing. And by the way, on that, funeral services and a broadcast tribute have been announced on that for those who haven't heard. But he died Saturday, age 101, and the funeral will be held Tuesday, October 7th, following a public viewing, which will be Monday, October 6th. And then there's also planned a whole bunch of events. On Wednesday, there will be a special broadcast, a tribute to Russell M. Nelson. That event is not open to the public, but it will be broadcast, and it'll be live. The broadcast will be live at 10 a.m. On October 1st. And it can be streamed at churchofjesuschrist.org, their YouTube channel, but also on BYU TV, sorry. And then Monday, that's October 1st, then Monday, October 6th, public viewing, and Tuesday, October 7th, public funeral services. And details on those services can be found at cashvalleydaily.com. And then, of course, general conference planned for October 4th and 5th. And so in all of this, understandably, people here in Utah, though this horrible event happened in Michigan, this one is hitting pretty close to home. And for better or worse, a lot of chatter on social media about this, a lot of speculation, of course, understandably, I think. We'll just have to wait for details to emerge. But again, the big news today, or the only additional news today really, is the FBI officially using the words targeted political attack, which means that they have some type of evidence, some type of reason to believe through their investigation just over the last 36 hours that this was not a random act of violence, just shooting into a crowd or going somewhere where they knew there'd be a crowd, that this was targeted at members of the LDS faith. We'll keep you posted as details come out, of course, and cashvalleydaily.com. You can find more information, again, about the services, both public viewing and funeral services planned for President Russell M. Nelson. And I don't know what else there is to say. Again, it kind of leaves you in a just sort of a state of numbness to Utah. We're normally watching these things play out from afar in a detached way, in a very Utah way. But between the political assassination of Charlie Kirk right here in Utah, this happened yesterday in Michigan, this shooting that left members of the congregation dead and many others wounded, and a church entirely destroyed by fire. Again, reason to believe that this person may have been motivated to act based on some of the anti-LDS sentiment that's out there, because the young man who allegedly shot and killed Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University a few weeks ago was raised in an LDS household here in Utah. I don't know. We've got to find a way to just be better to each other. We'll be back with more For the People after these headlines with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Thank you, Jason. A committee that is studying a potential change to Cache County's form of government held its first public input meeting last week, acknowledging that it has yet to identify a specific problem that a new structure would solve. Now, the committee was formed back in March after a new state law had prompted a review of the county's council executive system. It's a structure that's shared by only one other county in the state. Now, at that meeting Thursday night, committee chair Jack Draxler said that public input was needed to understand the issues. The only suggestion, though, that was offered by residents in attendance was that personalities tended to get in the way of efficient county functions. Now, the committee is expected to deliver its recommendations to the Cache County Council by the end of the year. 2 more public meetings are coming up, October 16th in Logan and October 23rd in Smithfield. Well, the Cache County Council did reject a proposal for a pay raise for its members last week. It's a decision that comes as the county is facing a budget shortfall and a potential property tax increase. During last week's meeting, the county's compensation committee had recommended a pay hike that would have nearly doubled council members' salaries. Now, Human Resources Director Amy Adams had argued that the increase was necessary to attract qualified candidates and noted that the council had not received a pay raise in 3 years. However, several council members, including David Erickson and Keegan Garrity, opposed the motion, citing the need for public servants and the poor optics of a large pay increase during a budget crisis. Now, the council did, however, vote to increase the pay for other elected officials, including the county executive and the sheriff. The council's own compensation issue will come up again next month. And a Taylorsville man is now facing federal charges of theft of firearms after he allegedly broke in to a Park City gun club and then led police on a chase that ended in a SWAT standoff. Abraham Hernandez Duran, a 40-year-old, is accused of breaking into the Park City Gun Club back in August. He allegedly fired several shots, caused an estimated $5,000 in damage, and then fled in a van and crashed into a basketball pole, prompting a brief standoff with SWAT teams. Now, investigators found 5 guns stolen from the club inside the van. And the state of Utah and federal officials have filed an agreement with the operators of a national charity fraud scheme that allegedly generated more than $45.5 million from vehicle donations. Now, according to prosecutors, CarsRUs.com and its operators, Michael Irwin and Lisa Frank, falsely claimed that donations would fund breast cancer screenings for a charity. Now, the complaint alleges that less than 1% of the revenue was actually used for screenings, while the majority went to the company and its vendors. Now, the scheme, which impacted more than 8,400 people, including hundreds of Utahns, resulted in a proposed $3.8 million judgment. Well, we've had temperatures in the mid-70s today. Tonight will drop into the mid-40s, and then a chance of some showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow, as temperatures will be back into the 70s. We'll see sunny skies returning for Wednesday and Thursday. Then Friday, another chance of some moisture, and it looks like we could see our first frost hitting the valley coming up this weekend. And it's Edson Builders that brings you our weather. 2 of Cache Valley's best home builders, Edson Builders and Innovative Home Finishes, recently teamed up. Find out if you can qualify for a $20,000 first-time home builder incentive from Edson Builders and Innovative Home Finishes. Give them a call today at 232-2680. And I'm Will Figurite with your KVNU News headlines.
ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. That high-stakes meeting at the White House with President Trump and top Democratic and Republican congressional leaders today ended with no word of an agreement that would prevent a government shutdown. Neither side showed any willingness to budge. Republicans want to keep the status quo. Democrats want to extend health care benefits for the Affordable Care Act, Medicaid coverage, and other earlier cuts. House Speaker Mike Johnson accused the Democrats of creating a crisis.
You should go take a look at what they requested. $1.5 trillion in new spending that is unrelated to the ongoing appropriations process.
If Congress does not pass government funding legislation and it is not signed by Trump by Tuesday night, many government offices across the nation will temporarily close. Today, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law aiming to keep people from using powerful AI models for potentially catastrophic activities, like building a bioweapon or shutting down a bank system. This is ABC News.
Hi, it's Congressman Blake Moore. Have you heard the news? My office recently won an award for our Outstanding Constituent Service Program. That's right, the Congressional Management Foundation named Team Moore winners of their Best of Constituent Service Award, meaning Utahns in the 1st District are receiving some of the best help Congress has to offer. Representing Utah priorities in Congress and providing top-notch constituent service is at the heart of everything Team Moore does. We've had great success helping Utahns with expedited passports, visa processing, veterans benefits, immigration petitions, retirement issues, tax returns, and much, much more. We'd love for you to experience our award-winning service yourself. If you need help navigating a federal agency, including the IRS, Social Security, the VA, Immigration Services, or Medicare, please give my office a call at 801-625-0107. That's 801-625-0107. We're also happy to help coordinate U.S. Capitol tours, take your comments, and provide legislative updates anytime. It's our honor to serve you and your family. Thank you. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Join us Saturday, October 11th at Heritage Park in Nibley for USA Project Valor's Run, Walk, and Ride, raising money to support Utah's aging, homeless, and USU student veterans. The 5K starts at 8, the 10K bike ride at 9:15. Sign up now at batizzo.org or sign up at the event. Bring the whole family for games, food trucks, live music, a car show, and prize giveaways. Be part of a community that gives back to those who served. Register today at batizzo.org. That's BADIZZO.org. KVZO.org.
The Cache Valley Media Group's Holiday Gift Show is now accepting applications for the 2025 show November 14th and 15th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Show your creative, unique, festive, and one-of-a-kind gift ideas to thousands of holiday shoppers. It's a wonderful gift show that is truly a step above. Search Logan Holiday Gift Show for details or call 752-1390 for more information. The Logan Holiday Gift Show, a premier holiday shopping destination. Space is limited, so reserve yours today.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. The latest on the drama as lawmakers try to find a way to keep the government funded beyond Wednesday. Which party has leverage? Also, there's been a decline in so-called Nepo home buyers who get down payment help from families. We'll look at the reasons why. And is it worth it to splurge on the ship within a ship cruise? Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Governor Cox, Carter and I were talking about this. We both mentioned that Governor Cox made Utah proud during the press conferences after the assassination of political activist and commentator Charlie Kirk here in Utah. Cox was thrown into the spotlight as kind of the de facto spokesperson of the investigation. As governor, you know, that is bound to happen. And he as the investigation went on, the press conferences got further and further away from just, you know, the immediate details being released publicly that day to you know, questions from journalists later on in the week after the shooting of, you know, what do you think about what leads to these acts and what can we do to stop it? And Governor Cox made some remarks, which I really liked, where he talked about toning down the rhetoric, about remembering that disagreeing with someone doesn't make them less human. You can think they're wrong. You can even get angry at them for what they believe, but you can't believe they don't deserve to live for what they believe or what they say. And he also said, he put a lot of this on social media. He said the algorithms are there to keep us angry and engaged so we don't put our phones back in our pockets. That's the point of what they're trying to do, how they try to manipulate us, because the more time you're watching or typing or interacting, it's more money for them. So they design these algorithms that are going to serve you up what they think will keep you staring at your phone screen, and that's usually anger and hate. And he said we need to talk about that. We need to think about how we're being manipulated by these devices in our pockets, young people and old people alike. And it got attention when he said that. So apparently what happened is the whole crew at CBS News reached out to Governor Cox and asked if he would sit down and talk to them specifically about his remarks about the political divide and the elimination rhetoric, as it's called. And Governor Cox, he started out his remarks saying, I get accused all the time of just oversimplifying this, of being, too optimistic that we can have this kumbaya moment. But Cox explained that's not what he's getting at.
I get accused on the right all the time of, I just want people to have a kumbaya moment. I want people to hold hands and just hug it out. And we're done with that. We're done holding hands and hugging it out. I'm not asking anybody to hold hands and hug it out. I'm not asking for that. I'm trying to get people to stop shooting each other. That's it. And I think what I'm doing and what I'm saying is the best way to do that. Some people will disagree with that, and that's okay. We should have these debates as a society. I'm not always right. I've made mistakes. Other politicians, I think, are making mistakes right now in trying to elevate the temperature. But I'm going to just keep having these conversations.
In this moment, what's at stake?
Scott, I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the future of our country is at stake. This grand experiment that we embarked on 250 years ago, can we hold together?
And what if our politics cannot find the path to the brighter light?
That's the question I always ask. When I hear people say that we're at war, I say, okay, and what? What does that mean? What is next? Who am I supposed to shoot now?
The shot, September 10th, was the kind of attack now happening every couple of months or so. In April, the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania and his family escaped after their home was firebombed. In June, in their homes, 2 Minnesota Democratic lawmakers and their spouses were gunned down. A year earlier on the campaign, it was Donald Trump himself. When told this time it was Utah, Cox didn't believe it, but there it was, on his phone.
The video was already out. There was no fog of war. There was no doubt what had happened. That terrible, awful video that I wish I had not seen. I hate, again, social media, that almost every person in this country, including our young people, have seen that video on a loop over and over and over again. And I can't unsee it. I can't stop seeing it. Every time I close my eyes, that's what I see.
The governor sent an aide to the hospital who reported that Kirk was dead. Cox dialed a number. As you're calling the White House, what is in your heart?
Just sickness, nauseous, disbelief, anger. At this point, I'm very angry.
To whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law.
His anger was showing.
I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
But when he searched for meaning, he recalled the suffering of both parties.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. We just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be.
That was, again, some highlights of comments Governor made during a press conference, which were included during this 60 Minutes interview, which aired yesterday. You can watch the entire roughly 15-minute interview at cbsnews.com. And one other highlight I wanted to get to here from the governor's interview last night, he was, of course, asked, okay, you've said these things now. You've said we need to pause and reflect on where we're at as a country and where we go from here. We need to acknowledge the political violence, the assassination attempt on President Trump, then candidate Trump, the assassination of 2 Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota, the firebombing of a governor's house in Pennsylvania, also a Democrat, the political assassination of Charlie Kirk, and then, of course, this interview was filmed before the events of yesterday, but I would include at this point this man who allegedly crashed into the side of an LDS church in Michigan And when people inside the church came running to help, assuming it was a car accident, he started shooting at them and then set fire to the church. Many were killed, many more injured. The governor was understandably, during this interview, asked, okay, but what do we do to change this? A really important question. And here's what the governor had to say.
And so I'm keenly aware when these things happen, and I'm seeing people get murdered, get attacked, who are Democrats and Republicans, and that's where it came from in that moment.
In the days after the murder, as you're trying to bring the country together, Steve Bannon, the philosopher of the MAGA right, called you a national embarrassment.
Yeah. I love free speech. I would give my life defending his right to say that about me. That's okay. We can have that debate. There are some people that think I am a national embarrassment, and that's okay too.
Who do you blame for the division?
I do believe that social media is a cancer, and it is taking all of our worst impulses and putting them on steroids. It is driving us to division. It is driving us to hate. These algorithms that have captured our very souls, they've captured our free agency, these dopamine hits that get our young people and our old people addicted to outrage and hate that serve us up on a regular basis, are absolutely leading us down a very dark path.
A path through platforms that look like civil war, powered by algorithms, programs written to amplify posts of rage.
The algorithms are absolutely destroying us. Once they know what your political leanings are, then it's like a pack of wolves that just attack. We have this collective problem that we can't solve because we're all sucked in and we don't know how to get out.
That was, again, Governor Cox remarks on CBS 60 Minutes last night. And putting on my nerd hat here for a minute, he's right. I've talked about it here on the show many times, and I always use, if you've ever walked through, if you've ever stayed at a hotel in Las Vegas, they force you to walk through the casino to get there, even if you're not a gambler. If you've maybe stopped at Fort Hall, north of Pocatello, or been out to Wendover, if you've been in a casino, you know what I'm talking about here. But the noise, the lights, the overall atmosphere is just very circus-like. In fact, there was a famous casino and hotel chain called Circus that just kind of owned this and actually turned everything into a circus-themed experience. This is not an accident. This is psychology. The noises and the activity and the constant sounds that make it seem like someone just won a lot of money at a slot machine or at a card table while gambling. The goal of that is to manipulate you. Casinos are designed from smells, I'm not kidding you, smells that are pumped into the room, to the lighting, to where the entrances are and aren't. They're hard to find, and that's on purpose. And or exits, and the sounds. It's all meant. They have hired behaviorologists and psychologists to design these casinos with one goal, and that is to keep you from leaving. And it works because the noise, the sounds, the smells, the activity, all that, it has a tendency to kind of wipe out your common sense, to make you want to be there and not leave. And it's both interesting to me and creepy to me at the same time. The psychology behind that and the research that these big money casino chains have put into understanding the psychology of how to keep a person gambling. And all of us might hear that and think, that's awful. I would never let that happen to me. And then pull your phone out of your pocket and plug into social media for a good hour. But that's exactly what you're doing, and that's how Governor Cox is spot on with his commentary on this. So now I'll be clear. I've never built an algorithm. I'm familiar with the language that is used to build an algorithm. I am familiar with how they're designed and what their purpose is, and it's manipulation, just like the gambling casino. Your phone, well, the apps on your phone are designed to do things to get your attention and to keep your attention. The longer they can stop you from closing that app and going outside, or closing that app and interacting with a human being, the more money they make. And they are really good at it. And social media is probably the best example. As the governor has mentioned, they have, through psychology and research, actual scientific research, they have discovered how to manipulate you with anger and rage, because they found that the madder you get, the more you'll keep scrolling. And it's big money. And you are being manipulated into being a part of it. One final clip here from the governor's conversation. They actually filmed this interview here in Utah. And this is just a bit of Governor Cox as part of this conversation with Scott Paley of CBS News walking through the state capitol here in Utah while they had this conversation. Some great shots of the capitol, actually. I encourage everyone to watch this full 15-minute interview. We've played just a couple of short 1-minute, 2-minute clips here. There's a lot more. But here's what the governor had to say as kind of a closing argument on the point he is trying to express.
One of 8 on a farm of modest means. He's a lawyer, devoutly Mormon, with 3 years left on his second term. His conservative record includes tax cuts, expansion of gun rights, and restrictions on abortion. You are a Republican, but not a Trump Republican.
Well, that depends. I did vote for him this last time. He
But
jokes
not in
with me.
16 or 2020.
That is also correct, and he gives me a very hard time about that every time we're together. The tent is broad on the right, and I'm trying to show one way to do politics.
His way to do politics surprised many in 2020. Campaigning for governor, he refused to run negative ads.
I think you should vote for me. Yeah, but really you should vote for me.
Instead, he asked his Democratic opponent to join him on the air.
They talk with Governor Cox about that ad and about that decision and about what has really been an entire political career of calling for civility and for people to dial it down. Governor Cox said, "It's who I am. And if it works or not, it's what I'll continue to say." And you have to just kind of pause and be proud of the governor at this point. A lot of things he could be saying, and he's choosing to try and find a silver lining here, or a light at the end of the tunnel, probably a better way to say it. Check out the full interview. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and we'll be back right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Banks require good credit, so how does that work at Dollar Loan Center?
Look, a lot of people have a crappy credit score, Craig. So what? That's our specialty, and we look at the whole picture, not just a number. We love to say yes quickly because we know it's important to our borrowers.
Well, what if you were denied in the past?
I love that question. If you were denied in the past and are still looking for a loan, before you go somewhere else and pay way too much, give us another shot. Everyone's situation changes. You might have a cosigner, new job, or raise, who knows, but we sure would like a chance to help you out.
DLC lends up to $5,000 in minutes, and you can get your cash in person at one of our 70 locations, on our website, don'tbebroke.com, or even over the phone with one of our helpful, real staff members. You're gonna love Dollar Loan Center.
Licensed by the Utah Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
One smile is great, but one smile in a community of smiles is so much better. Smile Train celebrates the cleft lip and palate community by empowering medical professionals in over 70 countries to perform essential cleft care in their local communities. Learn how Smile Train is helping the cleft lip and palate community at smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, changing the world one smile at a time.
Wrapping up the show today with a statement out just a bit ago from the immediate successor to the late President Russell M. Nelson, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, sharing a public message addressing both the passing of the church leader and the deadly violence at the Michigan church that took place over the weekend. Dallin Oaks, president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, via social media, mourned Nelson's death while also referencing the attack in Michigan. Said, "Our hearts are heavy with sorrow. Millions of us mourn the passing of our beloved prophet and president. And he was a dear friend and a cherished leader. His timeless teaching continues to guide us and help us find comfort amid suffering, especially in the wake of the recent violence aimed at members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Michigan this past Sunday." It's again, just it's striking to a joint statement on two different events like this have to be put out. You can see the full statement and more at CashValleyDaily.com, where our news team has posted that, again, just recently released, with some additional comments of Oaks wrapping up his statement saying, "May we all remember the truth that each of us is a beloved child of God." Full statement again in the story at CashValleyDaily.com. Statement on the death of the prophet and Michigan church shooting in one statement from President Oaks. Again, link on our Facebook page, front page of CashValleyDaily.com, and that's our show today. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you'll be with us tomorrow for a new episode at 4, but stick around. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.